Did Oregon's big win at Penn State last week take a hit when the Nittany Lions lost to UCLA? And if so, does it really matter? We'll talk about that and more next on the Ducks Confidential podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian OregonLive. I'm joined by George Wrighster, former Oregon and NFL tight end and host of the Unafraid Show, who's got his arms crossed because he's already knowing he's got to deal with my nonsense. He's already fired up. We had an interesting text message exchange over the weekend about the topic we're going to get into. But George, how you doing? How was your weekend? What game did you have this week? On the
I didn't have a game this week. I don't have a game for 2 more weeks, and then it is 6 weeks straight after that. So, so I've actually had a chance to actually see my family.
Did they remember your name?
Yes, I am dipping out on the family to come up to Oregon, Indiana this weekend.
Are you?
Yes. Had to come.
Did you get a team pass or a press pass?
Hey man, hey man, you can't be asking all them type of questions, buddy. Hey, what's up, dude? Bodie's at school where you should be. Okay, go. Okay, I'm recording right now. Okay, go.
And who was that? The listeners want to know.
Roman, come say hi to Mr. Fentress. No, his mom's not here. Come here.
His mom.
This is Mr. Fentress.
What's up, Roman? Roman, you said? Is that right, Roman? How you doing, Roman? Why isn't Roman in school?
He wasn't feeling well today.
Oh, okay. He looks like he's well to me.
Well, he's had a cough, so I had to give him a breathing treatment. I'm not one of them inconsiderate parents that sends a coughing kid to school.
And as a former parent of children in school, we appreciate you for that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because I get pissed when other parents do it. Hey, Roman, what am I doing right now, bud?
Recording.
Okay, so you can't sit on my lap while I'm working. Okay.
Maybe Roman has better taste than you, though.
All right, so you can sit in the chair, okay, until I finish. Okay, quiet though. Okay. Oh, you're gonna sit right there. All right. Okay.
All right, Daddy daycare. I love it. All right, so the family got reacquainted with you. That's good. But you're coming up for the Indiana game, which means I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be on the field, and I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this game.
On the field with an alumni guest pass, right? Okay. So make sure, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no,
you're an alumni.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You're a legend.
There are some former players that do get a little bit upset with other people's access within the program.
Come on.
It is what it is, bro. I'm part of the media. I mean, as well.
People need to not be petty about those kind of things. All right. This episode of the Ducks Confidential podcast is brought to you by Travel Lane County, an organization that promotes travel and tourism in the Eugene, Cascades, and Coast region. Ducks fans can find out more at www.eugenecascadescoast.org. All right. We're going to dive right into this. I have many different angles to get into. I'm going to set it up and let you go first.
Okay.
But I actually was watching Bama Vandy. I checked the Penn State score. It was 28-7, 23, whatever it was in the first half. And I sent all you guys in the Talking Ducks
27-7.
Sent you guys a text, and of course you said, "Are you watching it?" I'm like, "No, you're watching the book," and blah blah blah. So look, just does this matter long term? No. Does it definitely hurt the optics of that win last week? Absolutely, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. Does it hurt the Penn State win optics wise? In the talking point, sure, right? But in reality, no. Because and I'm going to use the Aaron Fentress approach to this. I'm going to use the intellectual, let's make sense of this whole thing. Okay. So one of the things that happens in college football, it happens in pro football too, but it happens significantly more in high school and in college because of the magnitude of single games, right? Penn State, because the whole big game James Franklin thing and because of their first 3 games, FIU, Nevada, Villanova. And remember, I said that they weren't going to be ready for what happened. And then they had a bye week. They weren't going to be ready for Oregon. What happens in college and in high school is there are times where teams beat you twice, where there's so much emotion and pomp and circumstance surrounding that game. You had game day there. You had, everybody there. The whiteout. This was supposed to be this is the time. Everything's in Penn State's favor.
Prime times. Yep.
Yes.
In prime
Everything's
time.
in Penn State's favor. And they lost that game in kind of heartbreaking fashion because they got dominated. They came back, and there is nothing worse in the whole world than to come back and then lose. Like that steals your soul.
Yeah.
And then James Franklin, and I watched his post-game press conference. I watched the press conference during the week because I'm a press conference watcher just in general of coaches, because I try to, and a message board reader because I like to judge and feel the temperature in the room for everybody, right? Fair. So his whole thing was, listen, I'm not going to let our season be judged by one game. It's not that big of a deal. We're going to rebound. And his calm demeanor has turned into there's no sense of urgency. The team looked at UCLA next and was like, that's no problem. They suck. We're gonna go out there. This is a get right game. Even if we don't play our best, we will win. That's the attitude that they went out there with. Problem was that they didn't realize that UCLA firing their head coach, firing their defensive coordinator, firing their offensive coordinator was going to, because UCLA could have either gone one or two ways. They could have rallied, which is what they did, or they could have just fell apart and mailed it in. And they chose not to do that, because when you look at the composite rankings of talented teams, UCLA has the 25th most talent on their roster in college football. Now, even if you adjust that to the recruiting rankings being and the transfer portal rankings being, inaccurate, you're still dealing with the 35th, 40th most talented team in the country, which means they can give you a fight if you do not have a fight. And then you add in that the Big Ten teams, when they travel 2 or more time zones, there have been few winners. They're pretty much Oregon. Washington damn near lost to Maryland. They were down 20-0 at the end of the third quarter. So I think that there were a lot of factors that factored in. And then UCLA, they get the ball first, go down and score. Then they onside kick it. And you're like, oh, wow, they actually came out. And there became a point after UCLA, after Penn State scored, and it was 10-7, UCLA came down and scored. And at that moment, I was like, oh, Penn State's in trouble because UCLA now believes that they can win. And so I believe that's a conflated and an expanded way to essentially say, yes, optics wise, it took a hit. However, it's one of those, Penn State's not losing to UCLA 9 times out of 10. However, you only got to do it once. So Penn State is reeling, right? And now you have a case of that people go, oh, that game means nothing. But we are in an era of college football where you're going to have way more upsets. Ohio State's win versus Texas, that don't look that hot right now either. It's just the reality of the world of college football that we live in, which I believe is the best era that we've ever had.
Okay. So I hear you on the vast majority of that. And it's not a matter of disagreeing, because I don't think anything you said is factually incorrect. I think some of it was spin, but I get it, because that's what we do. We spin a lot of different things, and college football is ripe for spinning. All I'm going to say is that I thought that was a great event at Penn State. I thought it was a great win for the program. Great win for Dante Moore, biggest of his career, best performance of his career. Big win for Lanning on the road. All the things that went into it. But the hype the next 6 days became a little bit over the top. You know, it was like, oh, Oregon's the best team in the country because they won this game in double overtime at Penn State. Oregon this, Oregon that. Blah, blah, blah. They just won a game against a team that was extremely unproven, although they had most of their guys back from last year, most of their starters. And so for them to go to lose to UCLA, that absolutely diminishes the magnitude of that win. You can't look back at that now and go, oh, Oregon is easily one of the best teams in the country because they won at Penn State. Well, no, because Penn State just lost to 0-4 UCLA. And Penn State's going to lose another game they probably should win, and they're going to lose to Ohio State. So Penn State right now, I don't think it's going to be a playoff team. So that's going to be a win over a non-playoff team. Now, what's funny about college football is people say, oh, we beat number 3 Penn State. Like I said to Jordan on Talking Ducks, just because they were ranked number 3 doesn't mean they were the third best team, because now they're not even in the AP rankings. So they're ranked 28th. Does that mean they're 28th best team? Not necessarily, but that's where they are right now. So yeah, it definitely hurts the optics of that win. But does it matter? Like, no, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if Oregon goes 10-2, right? Let's say they lose to Indiana and they get an upset loss in there somewhere, they're going to be in the playoffs, and that Penn State win will have helped. They go 11-1, clearly they're in it, not a problem. So it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it definitely raises an eyebrow for me as to, maybe that win at Penn State wasn't that big a deal. And maybe this game against Indiana is going to be a lot tougher than maybe some people thought because of the hype around the win over Penn State.
Okay. So there is some fairness, but you bring up a point that I 100% agree with, and I talk about all the time. When people, and it's usually SEC people that do this, they get to talking about ranked wins, right? They're like, oh, they were ranked. But a lot of times has to do with the preseason rankings. And the AP poll voters, the majority of them, they set their preseason rankings. And then unless you lose, it is difficult to, go up and down and all this stuff. And I believe that they were shamed this week into not ranking Texas and ranking Penn State. I believe that they got shamed into it because there were so many people and the voices were so loud of, oh, neither one of these teams has a Power 4 win. I bet you they're ranked this week. And I think that the voters saw that. Aaron, you were a voter. Do you believe that they felt some pressure to not rank them because the noise was so loud about Texas and Penn State, these name brands getting the benefit of the doubt, when if anybody else had this level of not success, they would have been unranked?
I think for some, the reason why you have so many voters, you have so many different value systems and different perspectives. For me, one of the things early when you pick, so if I say I think Penn State's better than these 7 teams, right? And then Penn State loses to one of those 7 teams, does that now mean I think Penn State isn't better than 6 of the other 7 teams?
No, that's not what that means.
Right, but do I think that the team Penn State lost to would have beat those other teams? But usually what happens is those other 6 teams won, you're going to take Penn State for losing, and you're going to put them behind them just because they have the loss. Some people might not put them all the way, et cetera, et cetera. So with Penn State right now, though, their 3 wins with Villanova, Nevada, and FIU, but they barely lost to Oregon, a team that a lot of people have in their top 3, but then you lose to 0-4 UCLA. To me, that's the coaches, I think, have them 22nd. I think that's more reasonable. I think dropping them out might have been a little weird, but I think there's some voters who do think the way you do. Like, okay, why are we voting these teams this high? Because they've done absolutely nothing, and they both have bad losses.
See, here's the other part of it. Is here's where the transitive property doesn't work in college football this same way, because the situation in the whiteout game, the emotion, you get a big bump with playing at home, all of those things is completely different than the energy, emotion, and everything else the next week when they're playing at UCLA.
True.
So but still, dude, you gotta win that game.
Who? Penn State's got to win that game.
Yes. No. Yeah. I am in no way. There are no excuses.
Okay.
That's 100% a failure. 100% a failure. And honestly, it's a schematic failure. They did not put a spy on Nico. They put a spy on him one time, and that was in the fourth quarter. So that's coaching malpractice. The dude is running all over. He was their leading rusher coming into the game, and you're like, oh well, I don't know if we should put a spy on the guy. Like what are we doing here? And I believe that, this is true across the country. And sometimes, Aaron, it's almost like when we go on social media, where we consistently see the same thing. And it's like living in an echo chamber. So when we're talking about the Ducks, it feels like, everybody where you said for the last week they overblew the victory and all of this stuff, right? Well, the same thing could be said about Ohio State when they played Texas.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my God, they are clearly the number one team in the nation. They're this, they're that, they're that. And now you're like, Texas might stink in terms of
they only won 14-7, right? Over a team that
exactly.
can't.
And they got outgained by over 100 yards and everything else. So the noise surrounding it feels louder when you're actually in it. Mm-hmm. And if you look at all the top teams, I believe that Oregon, Ohio State, Miami, and Oklahoma are the clear 4 best teams in the country to me right now. I don't care how you rank them particularly, as long as you don't put Oklahoma 1, I'm okay with it. But I think that those are the 4 best teams. But even when we look at what Miami has done, I think that their best win is Notre Dame. I don't believe that Florida State is that great. And I said this even after the Alabama win. I was like, yo, this is a broken clock is right twice a day sort of thing. They caught Alabama early. Alabama's still not as physical as they need to be and everything else. But that Florida State wasn't going to be able to sustain it, and that they were still a 4-loss team. And people told me I was crazy. And now after losing to Virginia, and truthfully, that Miami game wasn't as great as it seemed. And they didn't, and this is the same thing that Miami was in the same situation versus Florida State that Oregon was versus Penn State, in that they dominated the entire game. And then Miami gave up 19 fourth quarter points to Florida State, which was kind of inexplicable based upon the way that the first 3 quarters went. And Miami has to learn how to close the same way that the same way that Oregon has to learn how to close. So I don't believe that any of these 4 teams is unbeatable at this point, because when we look at Miami's schedule, that Notre Dame win, I think is the best one. But then Ohio State, you're like, Minnesota's bad this year. They played Iowa, Ohio, Grambling. Those don't count.
Right.
They played Texas. You're like, and then you play at Washington, which they're so much more talented, and they didn't really show all of that much. So I believe that this Illinois game and then the Penn State game are really going to tell you a lot about who Ohio State really is. Because if they can go in and
go ahead.
If they can dominate Illinois and dominate Penn State, then I think that you can clearly say that, oh wow, this team is even that this team is in an elite era.
But we agree that Ohio State and Miami, their resumes are better than Oregon's. Mm-hmm. Oregon has 1 quality win.
Okay, so where would you put Ohio State's quality wins?
Well, Texas is a way better win than everything on Oregon's schedule, except maybe Penn State. Washington is as well, and Minnesota is too. They have 3 Power 4 wins, 2 in conference against teams with winning records. That's better than what Oregon's done. Now, it's not Oregon's fault that that Oklahoma State stunk and that they played Northwestern early.
So here is my 100-foot view.
Okay.
That I think that out of those three teams, Miami has the best win with Notre Dame.
And the second best, a third best win? If we count Penn State as second, which I question now, but Florida State's a good win.
I would go with Texas, and I would go with Texas and Penn State as an equal win.
Okay.
Because they're both, we don't know either.
At least Penn State was on the road. Penn State was on the road, though. But
yes,
okay.
Yes. So okay. So I'll give Oregon the edge there.
See,
and then you got.
You think I'm a hater? See, I had to correct him and help Oregon on that. So just so we know. Go ahead.
So then I think that then the next best win is probably
Washington,
Ohio State at Washington. I think that that's a really good win. And then
wait, you said Florida State first, right?
No. I think
Florida State's a bigger win. Florida State's a bigger win than Washington.
No.
Oh, come on!
I believe that Washington is better than Florida State.
Okay, Florida State has a way better win than Washington has.
They also have a
dumb
worse
college
loss.
football is early in the season.
They also have a worse loss to Virginia. And I know that Virginia is ranked now, but Virginia's not like that. We are. I mean, you watch Virginia and you're like, okay, like, eh. So this is what we're arguing about, and this is exactly the reason why I said that when we are looking at all of these teams, it is clear to me who the four best teams are, and then you got Oklahoma. Auburn, they got to win over Auburn. Auburn's not that great. And they beat Michigan. And I think that Michigan win is a good win.
Okay, so two things. Go ahead. Finish.
So I believe that there are four teams that stand above everybody else. And then there is one team that nobody's talking about, Aaron. There is one team that nobody is talking about, and I started talking about them.
Hold on. Let me see if I guess.
And this team is fan-freaking-tastic. They fall into the defense, where the defense is elite, and the quarterback play is really good right now, too.
Hold on. Are you going to say A&M?
No.
Damn. You're not saying Texas Tech, right?
Texas Tech.
But their quarterback play is not great, statistically.
No, it is. Bear Morris is balling.
Yeah. Sorry. I was thinking about someone else. Yeah, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
And this
Texas Tech.
And this Texas Tech defense is like, this just showed like this Cody Campbell money is getting spent very well down there at Texas Tech, boy. This defense, they did bad things to Utah. Utah's offensive line is one of the best in the entire country, and they treated them like they were rag dolls in that game. It was bad. So two things. One thing that drives me nuts about college football, and it's not anyone's fault, but the best team, the top 20 teams that have a legit chance of contending for something, right? Most of their games are played against teams in the bottom half of 130 teams. In the NFL, if you're 5-0, you beat 5 NFL teams, the top 32 teams on planet Earth. Yeah.
In college football, you can be 5-0 like the Ducks, and you have one win against an FCS program, one win against a good Penn State program, and then 3 wins against teams that are in the bottom 20, 25 in the nation. So you can almost, to me, you can throw those out, but they'll still be 5-0. And goes, oh my God, they're 5-0. But we know it's hollow. So that's why when you guys are like pressing me, do the Ducks look like they can win it all now, right now? It's like, I don't know. And I'm a Miami fan. I'm still saying I don't know, because hardly any of these teams have played against like-minded competition to really know. And if they all did, if we shrunk this whole thing down to 25 of the best teams, and they all played each other, right? A 10-game schedule against each other, we'd have teams coming out of there at what? 7-3, right? 6-4 making the playoffs, because they wouldn't have had their schedule. So that's the thing that drives me out. And then early, everyone wants to talk about who's the best based on what? Based on literally a couple games. So with Oregon, that was a good win at a good program that now doesn't look so great. And there's also a huge difference between beating a team that's ranked at the time and beating a team that's at the end of the season's ranked. Because being 10-2 and ranked means a lot more than being 2-0 and ranked. right?
Penn State will be ranked at the end of the season. It's just more of like this was one of those reaction moves to which I actually love. I actually love it because and I remember the last couple weeks I kept hearing Joel Klatt talk about Texas and benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Benefit of the doubt. I'm like, why are you giving anybody the benefit of the doubt? He was like, I know they're not playing well, but they're super talented. I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt and keep them in the top 10. I believe that that's disingenuous to college football. And Joel Klatt's a guy who knows ball, does a great job talking about it, who I respect tremendously. But we can't get into the benefit of the doubt stuff. And with the teams that I said are the 4 best teams, Aaron, I believe that they have that went. I rank mine based upon 3 things: quality wins, schedule played, and dominance.
Right.
And all 4 of those teams have been dominant in every single game that they've played. And that's why I put them in different categories than even Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and we're going to see what Indiana is going to do, because Indiana has played a grand total. Like that Illinois win, I believe, was a very good win. The Iowa win on the road was solid, but it didn't look like the Illinois win. And then they got a combination of Indiana State, Kennesaw State, and Old Dominion. But
right.
We are in separation time, Aaron, in the season. Separation time between like the contenders and the pretenders, because conference play is heading yep. In. And all the preseason rankings, things have changed. Think about this.
Absolutely.
Clemson, Penn State, and Texas are 8 and 7 right now, Aaron.
I know.
If somebody, and that was the number 1, 2, and 4 team coming into the year. 100, and then like let's look at the other team. So 1, 2, and 4 are unranked right now. Okay. Number 13, South Carolina, unranked. Number 15, Florida, unranked. Number 16, SMU, unranked. 17, Kansas State, unranked. And number 25, unranked. And we're supposed to be okay with the strength of schedule rankings being impacted by preseason rankings. Right. It doesn't make any sense. And this is why this Indiana game, and this is why coaches, when they get to saying the next game is the most important game, because it is.
Because it is, yeah.
The Penn State game, that was the most important game on Oregon's schedule 2 weeks ago. Now, Indiana is the most important game on Oregon's schedule. And then in a couple weeks, Iowa will be the most important game on the schedule. Then it'll be USC, the most important game on the schedule. Then it'll be Washington, the most important game on the schedule. It keeps coming up. But as far as Miami goes, and I want to congratulate you, Aaron, as a Miami guy. I want to congratulate you because as of October 4th, when that game was over with, you guys have stamped your ticket to the college football playoff. Stamped your ticket. No, I'm being, and I'm not even joking. They got Louisville. I thought
they were in it last year, and they lost at Syracuse.
Listen, bro. They got Louisville, Stanford. Stanford, there's no chance they lose that game. 0. Okay. That is a threat level that's below Northwestern's threat level. At SMU, I mean, I guess that's a little bit like a 2 out of 5. Syracuse is no threat this year. NC State, no threat. Virginia Tech with no head coach, no threat. Pitt switching up quarterbacks, no threat. They don't play a top 40 team for the rest of the year. Congratulations on making the college football playoff.
Okay, look, like I said, I'm not going to be a hypocrite on this. I got to see more. I hear what you're saying, but man, it's too dicey. You just never know. You never know when something's going to pop up, or someone could get hurt.
Beauty of this. Aaron, isn't that the
fun,
beauty of?
Yeah, it makes it interesting each week. But that's why I don't like to fall into the, oh my God, this team's the greatest team ever, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, see, I rank everything based upon all the information that I have up to that point. And then next week, the information may completely change. And I'm like, hey, yo, the same thing that I thought last week when I had that information, it is not true today. like if Oregon goes out and plays Indiana and it looks like the Illinois game 63-10, I am going to unequivocally say Indiana's the best team in the country.
If they win,
beat Oregon 63-10, huh?
Oh, they beat them 63-10. Okay.
Huh?
All right. You're saying you'll say that.
Yes. If they beat them 63-10 in Autzen Stadium,
well,
in
maybe
one
that
of the
just means Oregon's mediocre.
No, that's not what that would mean. That would
they have one good win against an unranked team. I don't know.
That Indiana is elite.
Okay.
That they are not. That they are in a whole different stratosphere, because if you can go into Autzen
that's
Stadium,
not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I know that's what I'm saying. So, if they could stroll into Autzen Stadium, which is one of the toughest environments in college football to play in, and you smoke show them with this roster. And granted, I came into this season saying Oregon was 10-2. That they were a 10-2 team because the team was young, that's where I thought the floor was. Now I believe the floor is 11-1. So yes, you could lose the Indiana game and still be on pace for exactly what I said. However, though, if Indiana goes in there and strikes it rich, they will, me and everybody else in the world will say that they're the best team in the country if they go in there and smoke show.
Okay. All right, so before we get to a little bit of Indiana, because we're going to save the bulk of Indiana for our next podcast, Mekhi Hughes asked to redshirt. I imagine he's going to seek the transfer. You agree? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, no sense in him coming back. Look, Oregon's done a great job in the transfer portal, free agency, whatever you want to call it. Clearly, Lanning's done a great job of identifying guys. Some of them are obvious, like, Christian Gonzalez or all conference guys, send them in, whatever. But, you still got to make sure they fit. And then, he's helped guys be better at Oregon than they were other places. Clearly this was a whiff, but I think it seems like it was more of a whiff because it just ended up not being a fit, and you had more depth at running back than maybe you thought you did because some young guys have risen. But what do you make of this whole situation with Mekhi?
I'm actually happy for the kid in terms of that he does have the ability to redshirt and can go have some success somewhere else. No, dude, because that would be paid. And that would be highly unfortunate to transfer and be out of eligibility and then not be one of the best people in the room. So I believe that there are a lot of places that he could go and start. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because he clearly has been a good back. But sometimes you run into a situation that you couldn't foresee. Like, could anybody have predicted that Darren Thomas would, after taking the team to what I think was the Rose Bowl, or was it the national championship?
Masoli took him to the Rose Bowl. Or he's on, wait, sorry, go ahead.
No. Darren Thomas.
Oh, when he took him to, I thought you were going to say when Darren Thomas replaced Masoli. When Darren Thomas took him to the national championship game, and then the next year they won the Rose Bowl, and then he left early.
Yeah, but he left early because they told him that Marcus was going to be the starter.
Which is still crazy to me.
That's what I'm saying is that they knew that somebody was so much better behind them that you're like, yo, this ain't gonna work. So I don't look at this as a knock on Mekhi Hughes. Right. I look at this as a big time statement on Jordan Davidson, on De'Aaron Hill, on Jaden Lamar, and Noah Whittington. I think it says more about them than it says about Mekhi Hughes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think he's still a good college running back.
All right. Dylan Gabriel started yesterday for the Browns. He started. Herbert started. Herbert's been struggling the last two games after getting off to a hot start. Mariota did not start for Washington because Jaden Daniels came back, but Bo Nix pulled off a nice comeback win at the Eagles. Your impressions of Dillon? I mean, he looked the part. I mean, clearly the second half didn't go so well. They had a lead, they blew it. He couldn't put points on the board in the second half. Minnesota scores with 25 seconds to go on a 12-yard touchdown pass. Carson Wentz showing up, by the way. I thought that guy was long gone.
No,
but what do you think of Dillon? Did he look like he could be a full-time starter, or maybe he's? I mean, to me, I still feel like he's not a full-time starter in the NFL. I think he's a great backup. But what do you think?
I think he looks solid. I think he looks solid, but it's his first game.
Yeah, I know. And the whole package to me doesn't fit.
You don't know what guys in the NFL are going to be until teams get the book on them.
Right.
And they will figure out some things that he struggles with, some things that he's good at, and they will play to his weaknesses in terms of the defense will. So if he can go out and just play clean right now. He didn't have any turnovers, didn't do anything to lose the game. He made some big time throws. He made a couple big time throws. I liked it. I was encouraged. I was like, oh, okay. At no point in time were you sitting there wondering, like, ooh, I wonder if they should bring Shedeur in. You're like, no, like this was better than like what he was doing was better than what Flacco was doing. So it was an improvement on the quarterback play. And that's what the Browns want to see. I know a lot of people want to see Shedeur, but you're not going to see Shedeur unless, well, actually, I don't even know if you're going to see Shedeur because it just seems like that they have no intent. Like they didn't even elevate him to number 2, which was like what do you so I liked what I saw out of Dillon. I want to see more. I'm intrigued. I'm more like, okay. I mean, I'm not a short king quarterback, so I'm not in on Kyler. I'm not in on I'm just not a short king guy.
All right. Here you go. Okay. All right. Real quick. Indiana. I had this last week, threat level 3.5. I'm bumping it to 4.5. I had a 33-23 Ducks. I'm changing that to 30-27 Ducks. I think this is going to be a damn good game. But again, I'm basing it on a lot of it on what happened with Penn State, because now that makes me question, not that if Oregon's good or not.
Yeah, but are you
how good they are? And then I got to wonder about it. Well, I'm wondering about Indiana too. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But that's why That's why I'm tightening it, because I mean, look, they blasted Illinois, which maybe Illinois was overrated. They were 9th at the time. No. But it was 63-10, bro. But then again, at Iowa, they barely won, right? 2015. So
yes, there's this, like you're trying to transitive property here.
I know.
Right now, getting Illinois, like I went and watched the all 22 of that Illinois game. Illinois was awful on defense. Awful. Some of their best DBs were out in that game as well. And they just played very poorly. And it was one of the, Illinois is not a team that if they fall behind, they can't catch up. They are a play from the lead, grind you out, play good defense sort of game. They got behind early, had to change their game script, and the game just got out of control. It was like the Rose Bowl. I think Ohio State was up 31-0. They weren't 31-0 better than Oregon, even if they were a better football team. They weren't 31-0 better. Things snowball. And I think that game snowballed on them. But this is also the same, Oregon didn't play Indiana last year. But
they played Illinois.
Yeah. I think that this is I'm looking at this game. I got Oregon 38, Indiana 24.
Wow. Okay. And you know what?
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah, this line opened up around 10, and there's been a lot of money changing place on this game. So the number has fallen down tremendously. So I think that this is
shit. I would take Indiana in 10 all day.
Okay.
So we agree that Drew Aller, I mean, I was higher on him because I kept waiting for him to improve. You were sold that he's just not that guy. And of course, he did. I mean, it was almost the perfect Drew Aller game against Oregon, right? He struggled, but then he came up with some plays, right? He came up with some nice plays, and then at the end, he throws the pick, the inexplicable pick, right? This kid, Mendoza, man, 16 touchdowns, 1 pick. Like, he's a lot better. So he's got 2 good receivers, too. They got a stable of running backs. I think they're going to score. Like, I think they're going to move the ball and score. I don't think he's going to make the mistakes. That's why I think it's going to be tight.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what this game is going to look like.
Okay, real quick, because we don't want to go too deep into it.
Yeah, this game is going to look a lot like Penn State versus Indiana last year.
Okay.
Excuse me. Ohio State versus Indiana last year. Ohio State, they absolutely dominated this football game. And they were just better. And I do think that Indiana, I do believe that Indiana is a good football team. Mendoza has been to Autzen Stadium when he was with Cal. And ironically, that was a 38-15 game. And that's where it's not that I think that Indiana's bad, because it was Ohio State was number 2 in the country. Indiana was number 5 in the country when they played last year. And they held Roy Key to 8 for 18. And this was at the time, Indiana had a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense at the time, which is, similar to what they have now, top 10 and top 10. And I just believe that Indiana is a good football team. I think Kurt Singetti's a phenomenal coach. I think they're just swimming in the deep end, especially playing in Autzen Stadium.
Okay, that's fair. All right, we'll dive more into that later. What'd you say your score was, 38-24?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a deeper dive into that later in the week. Today's episode of the Ducks Confidential Podcast was brought to you by Travel Lane County, an organization that promotes travel and tourism in the Eugene, Cascades, and Coast regions. Ducks fans can find out more at www.eugenecascadescoast.org. Thanks, George. Thanks to Roman for making an appearance. I kind of want to get his take, but maybe next week. And we'll talk to you more about Indiana and see if I can get George to squeeze that score a little bit, see him make it a little tighter next on the next episode.